All right, hello folks, and welcome to another live stream broadcast here. We are joined just here in a second with Johan from NatureEye. We're going to be doing a drone flight or two over the fresh lava fields on the Reykjanes Peninsula of Iceland, the area that is more or less primed and ready for another eruption anytime in the next few days. Hold on, I got to close something out. I got a little feedback. Just here in a second with Johan from NatureEye. We're going to be doing a drone flight or two over the fresh lava field. There we go. I was hearing myself on feedback there. So, okay, so it looks like we're ready to go here in a minute. Thank you all for joining us today. We have Susan and Amanda Jo on the live chat, and they'll handle aggregating the questions. So if you have any questions that come up while we're doing the flight or doing the update, go ahead and follow their prompts to send those in. We're going to get a nice day here in Iceland. Pretty good weather. Fairly light winds, I guess, for Iceland. It's not super windy, but it's clear, which is nice. And we'll go check out this area. It might be the last time we see this exact scene. You never know, depending on when this next eruption comes. We'll wait to get everything all connected on Johan's end. And we'll do two different flights. We'll head first kind of towards the southeast at the main vent area where we saw the August eruption and the May, well, not the August, but the May eruption and many of the eruptions that have taken place. And then on the second flight, we'll go a little bit further north to where the August eruption was, that more northerly zone. We saw that eruption. Sounds like we got a plane going overhead there.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yep.
So hello, everyone. Johan
yes.
here.
Yeah, thanks, Johan.
Updating my FlySafe database, which has been updated. So that's going to take more like 20 seconds.
Yeah, we can wait. We're patient.
Okay. That's great. And now we have everything set up. And I'm cleared for takeoff. We have EASA regulations now in Iceland. So if you're not a registered operator, you're not taking off anywhere.
Oh, well, that's good, because probably the drones were getting a little out of control in some places, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good thing, actually.
Right, just level the playing field.
Fired up here.
Yeah, we're ready to go when you are, but take your time.
You have video streaming in just a couple of seconds.
Yeah, it's just blue right now, so waiting for that to link up. So while we're waiting for Johan, just remember to check out NatureEye's website, natureye.com. You can go in there and book a flight for Iceland if you want to, for yourself or for a friend. You can fly at some of their other locations around the world. You get to take photos. It's easy to do, just pushing a few buttons on your keyboard. There's a drone operator on site to make sure that you are safe and don't crash it and can help you fly it or provide tips. So it's a great tool and a really wonderful way to have a great experience. So we've got visual now, Johan. We've got the video going. Although it just went blue again.
Yeah, I'm still negotiating with, let me see, with my...
Okay, we've got a good view of the Subaru there.
Good view of the Subaru.
Yep.
Do you have a takeoff button?
I do. Are we ready?
Oh. Yeah, just go ahead and hit it.
Okay, let's do it. All right, ready, set, go.
No, it's... Ooh.
Or not.
No, just give me 1 second.
Okay, I'm like, I pushed it.
Yeah, I just updated this database here. And I'm just going to restart this thing.
Yeah, no worries. Looks like we're looking east there, picking off from Eagle's Nest. Yeah, and then the plan here is after we do the drone flight, we'll let Johan go, and then we'll come back and do some updates. I'll share some photos from the trip to Hawaii with viewers, and then we'll round that out with some questions from the viewers. So that's sort of the plan for today. But thanks again for joining us. Hope you're well. Getting compliments on your car on the live chat, Johan.
Oh, it's the best.
I knew you'd
For
like.
Iceland,
I knew you'd like that.
especially
Yes,
the 2006 and 7 versions are the best. They kind of messed it up with the next one.
that's the one to get.
That's the one to get. Okay, let's try again. If I have takeoff clearance. So NatureEye has a remote operator ID. And I just updated the FlySafe database. And we are ready to go. I had to restart the whole thing after updating it.
Yeah,
but
no worries. We're happy.
You should have the takeoff button right now.
Yep, and takeoff button's been pushed. And
it says ready to go.
Yeah, I'm pushing up. I'm not getting anything. There we go. Excellent.
It's a beautiful sunny day, and there was an upgrade to our. Wait. What's going on now here?
Can't go any further.
Can't go any further.
Yeah. It's letting me go up, but not forward.
Yeah, I know what the problem is.
Okay, I'll just let it hover for a second.
Yeah. Let it hover for a second.
All good. The technology's still amazing. The fact that I'm in Idaho, you're in Iceland, and operating the drone is still mind-boggling.
Just quickly tech supporting the issue here on my laptop. I think I may have a. Oh, do you remember which map it said? Arnasetur, Arctic Horses, or Reykjanes Peninsula?
I don't.
Are you able to turn it around? No. Okay.
There's the power plant south, but you've got it moving.
I got it moving, yeah, but if I turn on, are you able to go forward?
No, it still gives me the grid, and it says you can't go any further.
Right, yeah, okay, that's my mistake.
No worries. Appreciate all you're doing. Nice view there of Lingarfelt on the left, the hill. One just behind the power plant is Thorpjör. Blue Lagoon just there to the right of it. Roads on the cars on the road there, going in and out of the Blue Lagoon. Hear him madly pounding away at the keyboard.
Yes. Worst case scenario, I might have to create a new flight. And
yeah, and I'm fine with you flying it too. I think everyone knows that you know it works, that I can fly it. So whatever works best.
Wait, where are we? Oh, that's. I'm so sorry, guys. I selected Hverfjall volcano in the northeast of Iceland.
You know what? I noticed that, and I thought, well, that
you noticed. You didn't tell me.
I didn't know it mattered. Now I know. So I'm like, that's interesting. I know we're not flying up there, but I just so it geographically like regulates you if you pick the wrong area or something. Apparently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do we need? Do I need to go out and we need to start a new flight or?
Wait.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Next time I'll look to make sure it says Reykjanes.
No, this is not your fault. I'm just kidding. Okay. Got a new flight created. and it's in your name. It's in your name. I'm just gonna go to the waiting room. Can you see if you see it, or I'll just send you the direct link to the flight.
Do I need to go out of the current view? I'm looking just at the drone view right now. Do I need to go out of it and
Yeah,
go?
yeah, no, I mean, you can
Okay.
do it in a different tab or something.
All right, I'm going back into just the NatureEye thing. Oh, there we go. I'm proceeding to the gate. Okay, so now we should be reconnected on this one. You hear me all right? So I'm in the new flight. Do you hear me okay?
Hello, hello again.
Yeah, can you hear me?
All right, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all good.
I'm on the new flight now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pop in a new battery for us.
Okay. Yeah.
So, in 1 minute and 20 seconds, we'll be on the flight.
Okay. No
the correct
worries.
flight with a fresh battery.
Yeah. So problem there, team. It sounds like we just had he booked the wrong flight inadvertently, and it somehow that, you know, when the flight's booked for one area and you take off from another, there's some limitations there. But we've got it all set now, and we should be up and going here in a moment. So appreciate your patience.
Yeah.
Just get the. How we looking?
The Eagle has landed, and now it's getting a new battery.
Okay. All good. Put a nice fresh battery in, and then we'll
So
on our
I'll
way.
pop the video link over to the new flight right now. And then it can fly. How many flight hours do you have now already?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Like,
Does it keep track of that on the website? I've never looked.
well, I could pull those numbers from the database.
I
I'm
mean,
sure.
probably, I don't know, 6, 7 hours, maybe at least, maybe 10. Do I get like a special badge or my wings or something if
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, wings are bad.
I don't know if I'm flying well enough to deserve anything, but I appreciate that. You can give me a little scout merit badge when I see you in May or June this year or something.
15, yeah, here's the one. Well, it's good. It's getting less windy now than it
Oh,
was
that's
before.
good.
So.
Yeah, later in the day, that makes sense sometimes. All right, we've got a visual on the bumper of your car.
So at noon today, 4 hours ago, they kind of upped the threat level, and you know.
Yeah, we're gonna go
So,
through the new update from the Met Office.
yeah, I was just playing with the idea that you could catch an eruption on this flight like we did a year ago, January 14th, 24. But, you know, okay. So do you have a takeoff button?
I do. You ready?
All right. Go ahead and hit it.
Okay, now we are a go for sure. Here we go. Thank you, Johan. Appreciate all your help on that. Ah, now it's working fabulously. Great. So we'll head, yeah, so you can see Stora Stokfelt there on our left. Seelingerfelt is on our right, and you can see the row of craters up ahead. Degassing, some of the steam coming off of those. Again, just a great day here in Iceland. Visibility-wise is really good. We'll go
Let's
check.
do a little ground hugging. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
You know, just like go down to 30, 40 meters. There's less wind.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. I'm used to just going up to the ceiling limit. Makes sense, less wind.
Well, don't let me interrupt. So
No, you're fine. I'm just getting the elevation kind of set there. We're about 70 meters up. Is that, you want to go a little lower? Is that good?
No, it's fine. The wind is 8 meters now.
Okay.
A second.
Great. Yeah, so we'll fly out over these lava fields here. We've got these lavas that have just sort of been superimposed on this pass between Silingerfeld and Stora Stokfeld. We've had several eruptions send flows down through this gap or this pass between the two hills, and then off to the west towards the Blue Lagoon and the power plant. Let's kind of head this way a bit.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
A little bit more to the left, then you're going straight into the wind. Yeah, like that.
Okay, great.
That's really good.
You can see a little bit of snow on the hills there around Fagradalsfjall, so the snow is kind of just clinging to those north and kind of western slopes at this point. But winter is definitely not over in Iceland. I'm sure there's more to come. How was that crazy storm you guys had a few weeks ago? Was that just horrific storm?
Well, it was crazy in the east and the northwest.
Mm-hmm.
Winds are up to 45 meters a second, even 50 in gusts. And a lot of interviews with farmers and people in towns and villages there. And the wind was sort of coming from all directions. And what seems to be causing it is, well, we can talk global warming, but 7
Right.
to 8 degrees Celsius in January. I mean, the temperature just increases the wind speed.
Right.
It's way warmer than it should be. And it lasted for a few weeks. At least, you know, there were actually 2 or 3 different storms. One of them was the strongest. It didn't hit Grindavik or Reykjanes as hard as it did the east. So I didn't really...
Yeah, it wasn't as bad for you.
I kind of missed the worst of it. Or missed, that is, if you really like storms. But then again, who does? But
right.
Yeah. But it wasn't much flying weather.
Oh, yeah, I would assume not. Yeah, once the winds get that strong. All right, so is this our... Do we know which crater this one is specifically right here, Johan? Is this... This isn't our big, beautiful one. That's further to the south. Yeah, that's the next one.
This one was created in the long eruption. The March into beginning of May eruption.
Okay.
It's the one right next north from our favorite May 29th crater, which we can see right up there.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, next one to the south. I'm gonna head over this one. Maybe take a peek down.
This one has been steaming the whole time, ever since.
Right.
For almost a year now. It has been just a spectacle of all these different colors, and it's just amazing.
Look down.
Yeah, you got a big screen, so if you want me to take the brightness, EV, or focus,
okay,
any different, then you can just let me know.
We go up a little bit in elevation, is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Wind is 11. We're going to make it all the way to our favorite crater, May 29th, and we can get a glimpse of Grindavik and the ocean.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep it moving that way.
And then you have plenty of manual flying time on the way back with tailwind.
Ah, there it is. Like the photogenic GQ cover volcano that all the other volcanoes are jealous of.
What's that, Geology Quarterly or something?
Yeah. That would be fun. Just, yeah. Who's the cover volcano this month, right?
Right, exactly. Oh, it's an idea. We should start a magazine.
Maybe.
Or at least a web-based one.
I think there's enough volcano lovers out there. It might, I think we could get some subscriptions out of that.
our valiant search and rescue squads are witnesses to that. People will definitely put their life in danger to
Right.
get a little bit closer to
People who that should
anywhere
know
where
better.
there's danger. Ah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's great. The breached cone there with the lava flow coming out the south end. Some of the white areas with the mineralization. Great. Yeah, someone wants to know which volcano would be the centerfold in our magazine idea. Gosh, that would be, we'd have, if that was left to a committee, that would be quite the debate.
Well, this one is a strong contender.
Yes, I agree.
Although the main attraction here is not not exactly the crater itself, but all these lava tubes and tunnels around it.
Right.
Which on our customer flights in May and June, we're sometimes just breaking out live on customer flights, like this glowing sort of hole in the ground, and then just like a 50-meter wide torrent just flowing to the southeast, like a kilometer, and then it was just over and it solidified, and then the next hour another one. And everybody probably remembers the lava pool here on the left side.
Yeah, the perched pond. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can definitely see, you get the lighting just right. You can definitely see more of the red and the oxidation just when you get like
on our last flight, remember, which was, well, that's kind of hard to top that one.
Yeah,
that one
was yeah, that one was like just the golden hour. What time sunset this time of year?
Well, day's getting longer, a few minutes every day, and I'm adding flight slots now into 6:15, the last one, I think. And
yeah, that's a good looking cone there. That's just
great thing for me about having the eruption in November, December, end of November into December, was then, of course, I run flights into the hours of darkness.
Yeah, right. So then that's when you're not sleeping. That's when
Precisely.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
so I would say this one is the most quintessential crater.
Yeah.
The one we just flew over, which is technically not a crater, it's more like a series of craters and rifts.
Yeah, kind of like a more complicated one. Yeah.
Yeah, because it just, especially when the sun's a little higher and it's steaming, it's just spectacular.
I'm trying to get the cover shot for the magazine right now. This is, sexiest volcano of the year, the month. And strong contender, like you said. Good colors, good symmetry. It's got nice shape and form. All the intangibles. That's what you want. It's not too big. It's accessible. It's a good scale. I think we're onto something here.
It's a beauty contest.
Yeah. So great.
Miss Volcano 25. Or Mr.
Yeah. Either way, it's these volcanoes are perhaps non-binary.
Non-binary.
Yes.
That's very modern.
Well, yes. Yeah, so let's swing around. We can see the town from here, can't we? Let's get a little panoramic view. So we're looking off. There's the power plant in the Blue Lagoon to the west. You can see the berm. Are the berms taller now, Johan? Have they been working on heightening those?
They've been taking them up to this one, I think 14 meters. Don't quote me on that.
Right. That's incredible. Yeah, that's quite tall.
And it is steaming a lot here to the south of our... we're losing a little bit of signal. Take a little bit up.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, we shouldn't go much further than...
Okay. You got it?
Right. There it is. I can give you control again.
Yeah, it says poor internet connection. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just because we went behind.
Yeah, that's fine. Get me back to a good spot. I'm of course watching the volcanoes and stuff and not thinking about connections and things like that.
Oh, it's not distance. It's just it's getting in the way here.
Yeah, line of sight, sure.
Yeah, it's the culprit right here. It's Silingafell.
Yeah. Well, maybe if they keep coring Silingerfeld to build the berms, it might not be a problem in a while, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you control again. So
Okay.
yeah, you remember last time I had the modem on board, and then you could actually fly, not just to our favorite crater, but we could fly. Remember, all the way down south to that big crack in the ground.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of heading towards, but then yeah, that's
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we had the better setup last time, so that's okay. There's still so much to look at here. Yeah, this alien landscape. What was interesting, having just come back from Hawaii, is there are lava flows in Hawaii that are only 6 years old, and they're revegetated. There's ferns coming up through the cracks, so in that really tropical.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like, you know, I don't know how long it takes for the moss to come back here and start kind of recolonizing the land, but in that area of Hawaii, it's quite quick. That
The
it's able
moss
to come back.
you're talking years, decades, and
Yeah.
centuries.
So it's much
time frame.
it's much slower, it seems like. There's a little patch of mineralization. I mean, and this is sort of, you know, probably the first steps to the moss regrowing, is you get these little gas vents where there's alteration of the rock. It breaks the rock down chemically, and so then that allows it to become more of a soil, and so then you can start to get the moss and then eventually some plants starting to take root. So we're really seeing the initial stages of, you know, these pioneering species, or at least setting the stage for these pioneering species to come in and start to grow back. And obviously, you know, Iceland's very different than Hawaii in terms of vegetation, but it's still the same process, just different groups of plants and microorganisms that come in and do their job.
Yeah, like we discussed before, I mean, there's nothing really like Hawaii. Also, volcano-wise, it's in the middle of the Pacific Plate. It's not a plate boundary.
Right.
It just breaks all the rules, you know.
Yeah, although you would be disappointed because they don't allow drones in the national park, so.
Oh, I'm sure NatureEye will negotiate.
Hey, if you can work that out, I'll get you over there. We'll figure it out. If you can work some magic there.
No problem. It's kind of far away.
Right, halfway around the world.
It's not like you can just jump on a plane to there.
Yeah, we did have someone on this last trip I was on. There was a lady from the Netherlands that came, so she made the big journey and just took, you know, three days of jet lag to.
Well, we do have direct flights to Alaska with Iceland Air.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, that's been for decades.
Well, that's not probably that far because you're flying straight over the north, and
yeah, exactly. I'm sure Alaska Air flies to Hawaii from Anchorage.
Well, when I go to Iceland, when I go to Iceland, I usually go out of either Seattle or Minneapolis, and it's like 6 hours or less. So it's not as short as you think it would be. We tend to forget
that the planet is actually round.
Right.
So it's actually not a long flight from Iceland to Anchorage.
Yeah, not too bad. This is a good one here.
So on the second flight, we're going to go to the north of Stóraskógfell.
Got some nice color. This could be a B-side contender maybe.
Oh yeah, it's just awesome. Remember last time we had the modem on board and we could just fly behind the Stóraskógfell, the entire rift.
Yeah, that is not an ugly volcano. That's still alluring, I suppose. This is great. Yeah, you could get busy really quick here if things start to ramp up. Again, I think it's like, I mean, I have no basis for this, but if I had a spidey sense, and I really don't, I would guess a week. I know Professor Thordarson was.
Watch out! You're gonna have the mountain line of sight very soon.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you compare it to, say, the Krapla fires in the northeast of Iceland from 1975 to 84, that was a series of 9 eruptions in 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
There were more underground magma runs, I think about 27, including the 9 surface eruptions. Ah, it's losing, let me see. Ah, I got it.
Okay.
And the last one was kind of delayed, but it was more powerful than all the other 8 combined.
Wow.
So it is it's a known behavior of volcanic behavior that the last one is often a big one in the end, a powerful one in the end. Assuming this would be the last one in this series of eruptions here.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that that's true.
No,
Like,
not really.
yeah, I mean, these types of these can go on for decades sometimes. Not that this one will, but it could. And I just don't see. I mean, there is some evidence that the uplift has slowed down a little bit, but hasn't stopped. And you can go from whatever rate of magma influx. It can take quite a while for that to ramp down.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure we'll cover in your episode after our flights the earthquakes
Yeah,
to the east
yeah,
of Brennisteinsfjall system,
yeah,
close to Klevervatn. Well, Haraldur Sigurðsson always had this theory that judging by Z waves or Z waves in US English, that actually magma is being transferred to the east from this system under Fagradalsfjall, like
yeah.
5 kilometers depth. Nobody agrees with him on this.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm seeing that. I mean, it's an idea
No.
that's it's as good as any hypothesis, but I think I'd want to see the earthquakes moving from point A to point B before I would jump to that conclusion.
It's a pretty safe hypothesis because of the magma chamber that's actually sits on a shallower depth. His theory is that it's actually going under it, so it's impossible to see it.
Well, yeah.
So if this is the case, then well, there's no way to verify this.
Yeah, magma. If magma is going to move from point A to point B, you typically have some sort of signal. There's some way to tell that it's moving.
Yeah, but his theory is that
it's moving below that zone. Yeah.
Case, yeah, it's actually moving below.
Right. Yeah, there's there's a zone.
Liquefied magma.
Right. There's a zone where the rocks don't behave brittly and break with earthquakes, but they behave ductily. And I think he's arguing that, well, it's deep enough that the magma can move without any sort of signal. It can just migrate through this softer, mushier rock without generating the earthquakes. There's a similar line of thinking with some of the stuff going on at Santorini, that area, that I don't know if I totally agree with, but that's an interpretation.
I thought you were going there instead of, you're always in Hawaii.
Well, it's closer, and yeah, Hawaii's nice any time of year. It's like the same. It's beach weather constantly. Although we had snow up on Mauna Kea, so it does snow there.
How high up is that?
It's like over 4,000 meters. It's a big mountain.
Oh, that's amazing.
So great. So
there's a lot of rocks here, so I'm going to try to land somewhere where I will break the props. It looks fine.
Yeah, it looks good. Great landing. You came in kind of hot there, but you stuck it. So
I always come in hot.
So we'll let Johan switch out the battery, and then we'll do a second flight here, folks, to a different area. We're going to head to the north of Stora Stokfelt, and look at the eruption area from the August 22nd eruption. There's some other lavas up there as well from some of these other eruptions, but the cones we'll be looking at up there, the vents, will mainly be from that August eruption. So hopefully folks are in for one more little jaunt through the lava fields of Iceland with our good friend Johan at NatureEye. Remember, if you use the code ShawnFly, my name, ShawnFly, on the NatureEye website, that'll get you 10% off your flight. The flights are very reasonably priced. I think they're all half-hour flights. Obviously, you can pay for more if you want to. And yeah, it's a great way to collect photos, have a neat experience. It's a great gift idea, something different than, the normal, Amazon gift card or what we might do. So I see the takeoff button. Are we good?
We're good.
Okay, that was a quick pit stop. Well done. It was like perfect level. Thank you, Johan. Okay, so we want to head this way now. Up a little higher here, not too high. So we want to head towards that cone kind of to my right or even further left or north than that.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
Oh,
Can
no,
you hear me again?
yeah, you're good. So is that, am I on a good line there, that direction?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we also have the latest, greatest cone volcano, which is the northernmost crater of the three from the last eruption.
That's the one straight in front of me?
We just about have line of sight to it. It's just to the north of, or northeast of Stóra-Skógfell.
What's this cone I'm looking at here, if you can see this, that's straight ahead? Is that the August cone? Sorry.
So you're looking at...
I think it's the August cone. Pretty far north.
Yeah. It's from a previous one.
Okay.
That's pretty much the northernmost
vent, yeah.
Of any sort of sizable crater or cone we have here.
Well, I think we have enough just in the Sundakor crater series to make our 12-month photo calendar series.
That's true.
You know, and even adding some of the...
make this, 12-month calendar.
We could even...
Instead of bikini babes, we have volcanoes.
Right, and we could even add in the... you know, I'd be okay adding in some of the hills, which are older subglacial volcanoes, you know, is just to mix it up a little bit. Yeah, so this is I think the hill we're passing on the left, that's Lilla Stokfelt. Little hill here. Head out to this one. So if you remember, folks, this was the eruption and the vent where a lot of the lava was directed to the north. But there's quite a bit of expanse and space out there for it to accumulate. I mean, there was some discussion and mild concern that if it kept going long enough that some of those lavas might reach the highway, the main highway that runs from the airport to the capital area. And it petered out well before then. But it did sort of at least raise, I suppose, the concern that this area could potentially have vents open up further north than what we'd seen previously. And so I think that got the Icelandic officials thinking a little bit harder about, okay, what would we do if lava spilled over that highway? And
it's definitely a risk if the eruptions are moving to the north, like any more north than this crater. Then the elevation lines start going down. The topography lies down to the northwest.
Towards the sea, yeah.
From here northwest, and then yeah, it starts flowing. Well, it's great for Grindavik and Svartsengi power plant that it's going in a different direction. I mean, a road you can just rebuild, right?
Right.
A town power plant, that's a little bit more difficult.
How are they going? I know they found more geothermal water north of the airport in a safer place. Is that still progressing? I assume it is. I just haven't heard anything in the news about you know, I think it's...
I'm afraid I don't know anything more than you about that. I just sort of read the headline and a little stub about it.
Yeah, well, and it takes quite a while, you know, between finding that geothermal resource to drilling all the test holes and looking at the data, you know, until you're actually ready to, you know, get that energy online. That takes years usually.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, yeah, I think this is the August 22nd eruptive event here. That went on for, I can't remember how many days that went on for, at least a few days. Like 4 or 5 days, potentially. Interesting that we don't see much degassing coming out of this area. There's a little bit just past the cone there.
I was just going to say, it's just not happening in this northern part.
Well, I think it speaks to it's cut off from the main conduit in the plumbing system. That I think that would be my interpretation of that. Is the other ones to the south that we just flew over, those are still very much connected to where the magma is in the subsurface, and this one's just not as well connected. But we could see, an eruption start at the, the main area to the south, and then propagate or extend. That fissure could open up as far as here, potentially.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Take a look at this one here.
There is this eerie sort of outgassing you see here.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of bluish. That's definitely gases. I mean, probably just from the lava fields cooling, because it takes quite a while. But yeah, kind of an ominous blue haze. And then I think you're starting to see
a little. Really see that on our last flight. I don't know if that's sort of more prominent now than it was. Well, then again, this area never looks the same 2 days in a row.
Well, yeah, with the lighting changes.
Flying here every day like me, it's always a new experience.
Yeah, well, that probably makes it fun and keeps it fresh for you. We can come around the other side of this. Are we good elevation-wise, or need to be higher, or?
Oh, we're fine.
Okay.
Wind's about 9, 10-ish meters a second.
Back this way. Yeah, good-looking cone. Maybe not a, a top 3 winner, but not bad.
Well, it's very interesting. It's not going to be Miss Volcano.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have the symmetry, right? If we're going by our strict criteria here, but it's got some color. I like that. It's got just different shades of color in it, which makes it somewhat aesthetic. Got this
There's
nice.
a raven circling and making noise, trying to tell me something.
Well, you are at Eagle's Nest.
Get out of there, right?
So,
no,
yeah.
no, probably not.
Is that would that be like your drone flying dream? Is that we catch one of these right when it's? I mean, we did kind of catch that in January.
Yeah.
But to catch like the whole enchilada, like the very first stages of the whole eruption, that would be pretty remarkable, I would think.
Well, to conform with regulations, I would be getting out of here and then, getting back in here later, kind of. We do have a little bit worse signal, so you might just take it up 10 or 20 meters.
Okay, gotcha. Up to like 100 or so.
So yeah, after this, we're going to try and catch the most recent crater, the one just northeast of Cilindrefell.
Okay. Yeah, so where's that from here? Which way do I need to go?
Let me check the map, actually.
Oh, northeast of Cilindrefell, so it's further south. Gotcha. So this is about as far north as we're going to go.
You can follow the fissure line or whatever is most interesting to see.
Okay.
Woo. Just a video signal, a little worse.
Yeah.
We're on 2.4 gigahertz. It's fine.
Okay.
We're just on the edge of our video transmission range here. So just, fly on this. No, it's actually southwest.
Okay, yeah,
I can hear a helicopter, so let's try and, fly to the southwest and go lower as you go.
Okay.
Yeah, this way is fine. Then here on the other side of this crater, signal is already much better.
They're still doing helicopter flights over this, huh?
Yeah, let me just take over for a while here.
Yeah, you're fine. Take over.
And fly us a little bit more to where we. It's fine. It's far away, and I can see the icon on a map, and it's all quite safe. The thickness of the lava flow is about 34 meters, right next to this crater we're heading for.
Wow. And that's
So-
from 34 meters from one eruption, or is that kind of cumulative from
All
several?
the eruptions,
Okay,
yeah,
right.
the accumulated
So yeah, the
thickness
ground
is
has
about
gone up.
34 meters.
Yeah, so it's 34 meters higher in that location than it was 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Changing the topography, which is pretty incredible.
I'm just going to give control to you. Just fly forward.
Okay, that
Oh,
sounds good.
I'm in manual mode.
Okay,
Alright, cool.
yeah, I'm good. Let's keep heading this way.
But the colors up here north are very different. More bluish, greenish.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the lighting or look kind of straight down. Yeah, it's still kind of there, isn't it?
Lighting has a lot to do with it. Yeah, exactly.
Certainly the magma is no different.
Is it stopping or are you stopping?
I'm holding the forward button down, so it's kind of stopping a bit. It's kind of jerky.
Oh, right. All right, let me just speed us over there
Yep.
quickly.
Yeah, you're good. Just maybe a connection thing.
I also have this thing where, I can move the camera really smoothly and slowly. Like
Yeah,
I'm
well,
doing now.
you have the joysticks, which are touch sensitive, whereas I just have the buttons.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I set them to the slowest speed possible.
Yeah, if you want to just give us a little, give
Sure,
us a little aerial tour of this section, that would be fine by me. That's the other thing, folks, is, if you start flying the drones like I have, and then you just want to get great shots and you want the pilot to, get the drone in the best position for some photos or whatever, they're happy to do that. But it is fun to have the ability to fly it around a little bit yourself and have that control, check things out. All right, here we have.
Yes, so NatureEye offers assisted photography, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, which I probably have not earned my merit badge for the photography part. Maybe I get my flying wings, but my photography wings are still. This is our dual vent, wasn't this?
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
this is
That's what I was gonna show you.
November. This was the twin vents that were going oscillating between the two.
It has weathered down a little bit, it seems.
Yeah, like collapsed a little bit. It doesn't look as kind of pristine as it did.
It sort of looked like the Sydney Opera for a while.
Yeah, like the opera house, just this big amphitheater. Yeah, well, that's a good. I think that could be our. I don't know. I guess we should. I mean, the easy thing to do here, Johan, if we're gonna make this calendar thing, which is just percolating in my mind, since this is the November eruption, this is the November calendar. This is the November volcano. So if you flip to November on your calendar, this is what you see, and you flip to December, you see that volcano erupt, and so we could. I mean, that gives us what, 7 months to start with, because we have December, January, February, March, May, August, November. Then we just need to fill in the other 5 months with some other little noteworthy, secondary volcanoes or something like that. So
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Well, I'll let one of I bet one of the viewers is already on it, and maybe by the time I'm done with this live stream, someone's like captured photos of 12 volcanoes and put it on a calendar, and we're all buying one or something. So yeah.
I'm gonna turn control over to you because my hands are kind of freezing.
Yeah, no problem. That's a good reason. Okay. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, so we'll check out this one a little bit. Johan got us some nice little perspective there. Maybe kind of do the little swing around on this one. Camera up a little. Yeah, and lots of you can see all the white patches here from all the just gas mineralization that's gone on just in the past few months with this one. This is our youngest one. This is one that was active just, what, 3 months ago? Almost to the day.
Yeah, until December, what was it, 9th or so? December 8th,
Yeah,
9th,
so
petered out.
3 or less months. And again, interesting to see just from a a visual perspective, from a human perspective, you'd look at this and be like, well, it looks pretty dead, doesn't look that active. And then we fly down to the older craters, which haven't erupted in as recently, and they look a little bit more active just with the degassing and the steam coming out. We have one little spot here. It's got some gas coming out.
I'm sure the mechanics down at the workshop in Grindavik would swap out their bikini calendar for our volcano calendar.
Right. Yeah, so we got
That's an old school one. Now I want to go home, but we're going to fly it home manually.
Okay, I can bring it back either way. Just get me, turned around, or you can take it back either way. I don't care. You'll probably get the better.
Fly over.
Yeah, you'll get the nice the cinematography. Yeah, it is a little hazy there. I don't know if it's just the gases.
It's just I selected the perfect weather window.
Okay.
There's a cloud bank moving in, and there's going to be rain and more wind. So this is just perfect.
Yeah, well, thanks for setting this up for us and agreeing to do this on this day. I actually had been thinking, I'm like, oh, it might be time for another Iceland flight, and then you texted me and said Friday looked good, so worked out great.
Yeah, I was here yesterday, same time, for a school flight. I mentioned before on these streams, we're doing these educational flights for classrooms down to second or third graders, just kids basically, and up to high school students with laptops, teenagers basically with laptops, and
that's so fun. That's awesome. Wait,
some of your students like doctorate.
Yeah, just college level, right? I mean, what a great way to get anyone just interested. And it's a perfect blend of like the science, the technology, feels a little bit like a video game, which gets kids excited. Yeah, it's just a great tool for exploration and having a neat experience. So yeah, so again, I'm preaching to the choir here, but again, folks, NatureEye, natureye.com, Johan, let's keep him busy as we go into the next few months. So people booking flights there will be, Johan's the only one there. So he's the, I think that's true, right? When they do drone flights for NatureEye in Iceland, it's pretty much you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. So if you want to have that fun experience with Johan as your pilot, you can book a flight with NatureEye and you'll get him. If it's one of the other locations, they have other great drone operators that can help you have a great experience, whether it's in Africa or down in Peru. We keep building up this topography. I mean, we'll eventually, I mean, this is very long term, we'll eventually start, swallowing these hills a little bit. They're just getting a little bit shorter each eruption. Stack these lava flows up.
Yeah, most definitely.
So we'll let the drone come in for a landing. We've got a couple more minutes here with Johan, and then we'll switch over to the rest of the live stream, which will include an update on not just Iceland. We'll talk a little bit about Kilauea, and then we'll do some question and answer. I'll share some pictures from my recent trip with viewers in Hawaii who were actually there for an eruption, which was pretty great. Nice slabby pahoehoe there, those big crustal plates all just jumbled up. Great stuff. I'm excited to come back. I miss being in Iceland, so I'll be out there. We'll have to set something up if we can. I'll be out there in late May. So
yeah, exactly.
I'll let you know, and we can meet up and do something if we can. See what the volcano's up to at that point. Good stuff. Is that like a road there? Oh, that is the road, isn't it?
It's a kind of path.
Yeah. A gnarly road.
A little bit of extra information. So in 1304, at the very end of the last volcanic period here, there was an eruption here at Arnarsetur. It actually flowed to the north towards the road, Grindavik Road, and it's actually separate from this system. So from here and to the north, all the way up to Grindavik, to the Reykjanes road. I mean, the road to the
right
airport.
To the airport. So the vent for that eruption was pretty much right where you are, or right near there.
Yeah, exactly where I am.
Okay. You have a friend coming there to meet you?
There is a book uh, by Ari Trausti Guðmundsson, one of the geologists here.
Yep.
Volcanic activity for 1,000 years. I'm afraid it's not available in English. I don't think so.
Yeah, that's the new one that just came out. Yeah, I'll have to get one when I'm there. It's kind of a big, thick, heavy thing, but really well done with all the
It's
photos.
the only one that covers that little one.
Oh, fun. Excellent.
All right.
All right.
So,
Well, thank you, Johan. This has been great.
Someone risked driving up here and in this thing. That's good.
I've driven that road. I know what that road's like. It's not an easy road in that kind of car, but you know, they're violating their rental agreement.
All right, then thanks everyone, and until next time.
Okay,
over to you, Shawn.
Everyone's saying thank you, Johan, and we'll see you next time. I'll be in touch, buddy. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, take care. Alrighty, so that was super fun. Great. Hopefully everyone enjoyed that. They do great work. We've been paired up with NatureEye now for a little over a year, I guess. Started in 2023 in December with that first eruption, and it's been nothing but a win-win relationship. So again, if you want to have the similar experience, go to their website, check it all out. Use the code. Everything's under the video description. So we'll move on. So hopefully everyone's doing okay. And again, thanks to Johan. Thanks, as always, to Susan and Mandy Joe for moderating the live chat. Hopefully you guys have been doing good things and enjoying the visuals of the drone flight there. What we'll do next is, let's see, what have I got here? Let me get back to my beginning of my little PowerPoint thing here. Here's sort of the agenda for the rest of the live stream, and hopefully everyone's doing well. So we did the drone flight. I have a couple quick announcements I'll get to. Want to show you some of the photos from the trip to Hawaii. Hope you're interested in those. We'll do a brief Iceland update. There's not a ton to look at, but there's a few things of interest, and we definitely are at a situation where it seems to be primed and the system seems to be, ready and able to produce another eruption sometime soon. Could be in the next 5 minutes, could be 5 weeks from now, who knows. A little bit about Kilauea, which has been producing eruptions on and off over the past month or two, and then we'll get to your Q&A. So in the way of announcements, what I have for you, just a reminder that there's the website that goes with our page that Amanda Jo has put together, which is awesome. We have a link for our store for merchandise. We have the new random road cut shirts. So depending on, we've got some different logos here, different shirts of different colors, but this is the newer one that's come out. So you can, if you like the random road cut shirt, different colors, not just shirts, but hoodies, long sleeve t-shirts with hoods, all sorts of stuff. The water bottles, she does a nice job of keeping that up to date. So that's all there for you if you're interested for yourself or for someone else. And then just to make everyone aware, I was recently a guest on a podcast, and I did post this, but if you missed it. So these two gentlemen, Jesse and Chris, are also geologists. Jesse works in, is it upstate New York or Pennsylvania? I can't remember, somewhere in the Northeast at a university. He's a PhD. Chris is a long time and very decorated high school earth science teacher. He was actually Jesse's teacher and kind of inspired him to follow this track. But they actually had me on, I think it's actually several months ago, but the post just went up, or the video just went up over the last few weeks. So if you're interested in just hearing the three of us kind of talk about, the YouTube channel and Idaho to Iceland, as it says here, a little bit of my journey into the geosciences, and then us just talking about some big picture topics. They run a podcast and a YouTube channel called Planet Geo, which I'd encourage you to check out. They have episodes on different, facets of geology, different bits of content. Occasionally they do these interviews like they did with me. So I'm just letting you know that that's out there if you're interested. And so let's jump now back to the fun little PowerPoint thing here, and I want to share with you some of the pictures of our trip to Iceland, or to Hawaii. So we had a trip with some YouTube viewers in early February. So there's the crew, 8 people, and just kind of run you through just a few photos of each day. It was about a week-long trip. We were able to visit all 5 volcanoes on the Big Island. So I started them at the oldest, most eroded volcano at the northwest end, which is called Kohala. So this is the Pololu Valley, the beach down there. It's kind of black sand beach. You can see the cobbles here as well. These parts of these cliffs here that have actually collapsed out into the ocean. Some of the cool rocks there, these olivine-bearing basalts from the Kohala. And even though this is the oldest part of the Big Island, these are only still 600,000 to 700,000 years old. The whole island is incredibly young, and yet this is the most eroded or oldest part of the island. Some of the more kind of imbricated sand and gravel deposits on the beach. The next day, we investigated 2 volcanoes, some parts of Hualalai, which is a kind of a large shield volcano that's more mature, kind of in its maybe waning stages, although it did have an eruption in 1801, and this is part of the lava channel. This is actually a tube system that still has this arch above it. You can see the drip features here, and the lava channel was pouring right through where the folks are standing here. It also is one of the more noteworthy places on the island because it has these really amazing ultramafic mantle xenoliths. So these green rocks, these olivine-rich rocks, are actually chunks from the Earth's deeper layers that were brought up. So what they somewhat suggest is that the ascent rate of the magma was rapid. These things didn't get assimilated along the way. They traveled as intact, what we call xenoliths, these foreign rock fragments embedded in the magma, came out of this very kind of powerful, fast-moving eruption, were entrained in the lava flow as it went down the hill towards the sea, and they're just really spectacular. There's only a few places, I think, on the island where you can actually see these, so they're somewhat rare, even though there's been so many eruptions, literally thousands, maybe tens or hundreds of thousands of eruptions on the Big Island in the last 500,000 years or so. This is one of the places you can actually see some of these really exquisite xenoliths, what we call mantle xenoliths. Pretty cool. Then we went up to Mauna Kea, and as luck would have it, and we did get a lot of great luck on this trip, there had a few days before been a big storm that blanketed the summit with snow. So what you're seeing here is one of the cinder cones that dots the summit area of Mauna Kea, and then you're looking across to Mauna Loa, the big profile of Mauna Loa, which is the largest shield volcano on the island by volume, and a little skiff of snow along its upper flanks there. We took of course, the fun summit photo. You can see some of the telescopes here in the background. There's a number of telescopes run by different consortiums and universities for observing things out in space, astronomy telescopes. Some of us took a short little hike to what looks like a small pond, but this is a lake. It's a Hawaiian lake. It's one of the highest altitude lakes, I think, in the lower 48 states. So you're well over 13,000 feet or 4,000 meters here. And it was just kind of fun to see this little puddle. What's interesting about this lake is that you'd think with all the basalt and the permeability of the basalt that all the surface water would just drain down into the subsurface, but there's apparently here a little bit of an impermeable layer, some clay, maybe from the alteration, maybe from one of these eruptions that took place when Mauna Kea had ice on it. So Mauna Kea actually had an ice cap during the last ice age, and it's thought that maybe an eruption beneath the ice created some finer grained or clay mineral material that now line this little depression and allow the snow to accumulate. So this is called Lake Waiau. So we did a little walk there. This is looking down the flank of Mauna Kea towards the bottom. There's the visitor center where you stop at there in the bottom right, kind of by my face, and then just some of these cinder cones along this late stage shield volcano going down off on the south flank here, and then Mauna Loa's back here in the clouds. The next day, which I guess was a Tuesday, what day was that? February 4th. We had planned to go snorkeling in the morning and then go down to the green sand beach and then work our way over towards the volcano portion of the island. But that night before the eruption of Kilauea began, episode 8, at about 10 o'clock at night, and so I quickly polled people individually and said, well, do you want to stick with the snorkeling thing and hope the eruption lasts till we get there later this evening, or do you want to scrap the snorkeling and just go see the eruption? And what do you know? Everyone wanted to go see the eruption. So this is us on our way to the volcano area, passing through the Southwest Rift Zone and the Ka'u Desert. There's the eruptive plume from Halima'uma'u. This is us walking in. So what you do is you get into the park, and there's the area we parked at near the Devastation Trail, and then you can walk the old Chain of Craters Road, the part that's closed down to traffic, and you just walk the road down, and that gets you to the eruption site. And so you can see the eruption there, a little bit of a glow there from these two vents. Mauna Loa in the background. This is the caldera rim here. And then as you get a little bit closer, this is what you see. So it was really spectacular. I mean, it was perfect timing. I think it was everyone in the groups, except me, I guess, first eruption that they were able to see live. This is the extension of the Chain of Craters Road. This is all the damage to the road that was done in 2018 when the magma left the summit area, moved down to the lower East Rift Zone, and started erupting in neighborhoods. The summit actually collapsed deeper. There was lots of earthquakes, and this is some of the damage to the roadway there. So you got your nice little left lateral strike slip fault there. You can see where the white line's been offset. So there were other folks there, but it wasn't too crowded, and they had a viewing area set up in the park where you could kind of just watch this thing erupt. So we went there in the afternoon, watched it, and then went and got kind of an earlier dinner, and then came back again around sunset, because the viewing is better for the lava fields or the lava flows coming out of the vents. You can see the two vents still going, and then part of the lava filling in the crater floor here. And then what we got to see, this was kind of neat. So you can see the two vents going off here. The one on the right's the north vent. The one on the left is the south vent. And I've seen eruptions before, and they're always spectacular. But what I'd never seen before was an eruption die out in front of my eyes. And literally, as we watched this, as it got close to like 7 o'clock at night, we first saw, if you look at this left photo, we first saw the north vent just die within like a minute or two. The north vent was active, it was fountaining, and then boom, it just shut down. The south vent kept going for maybe another 20-30 minutes. And then by about, I guess, 7:30 or so, both vents had pretty much quit, and the eruption had ended, which kind of worked out nice, because then we could leave. I think if it kept going, we'd all feel like, it's just such a great experience. You want to just watch it as long as you can. The other nice fortuitous thing about it was that with the eruption over, after just that essentially one day, it allowed us to focus on the other things I wanted to show people around the island and not be somewhat distracted or, I guess, pulled towards looking at the eruption each day. So it was actually worked out just perfect. So actually got to see the two vents that were going off, fountaining, die down to one, and then just go out completely. The next day we went down to Kilauea Iki. We spent a day in the park. So this is just to the east of the main caldera. This was an area that had an eruption in 1959. So you can see how much has grown back just in that time period. But this is another large crater. Big lava lake was filling this. The crater was there before the eruption in 1959, and the vent for that eruption was down over here. And most of the fountaining here, which was quite tall, up to maybe 2,000 feet, 600, 700 meters, a lot of that fell over here and made this hill called Pu'upua'i. And so this was actually the vent for that crater. Big olivine crystals here. While we were here, one of the viewers asked, hey, do you think this is a good place to find Pele's hair? And I'm like, no, there's definitely no Pele's hair here. The eruption was in 1959. It would have like broken down. And then she bent down and said, well, what's this? And I'm like, well, that's Pele's hair. But this is actually Pele's hair that had blown in from the recent eruptions over at Kilauea. So apparently with just some of the erratic winds they'd had, it had blown in some of that these fine glassy fibers from the fountaining. And once we started looking, we could kind of see them everywhere. So you can see someone holding a strand of this golden Pele's hair, a couple little pieces on the ground. And then once you kind of got your eyes tuned to it, they were pretty easy to pick out. Drove down Chain of Craters Road. This is one of the big sea cliffs, or what we call the poly. This is one of these large fault scarps where the island is starting to sink into the ocean slowly. And And so it's a bit of a detachment point, and you can see some of the A'a and Pahoehoe flows coming over the top of that. The Pahoehoe flows are this more silvery gray. The A'a flows are the darker, more black color, but just really just spectacular scenery there down along the coast. Stopped and look at, this is called entrail Pahoehoe, because it looks like, like the intestines of some animal, just these very ropey, often happens when the Pahoehoe is moving down a very steep slope, and the lobes actually get kind of pulled by gravity into these long tubes. So looked at some of the cool things there. Made our way to one of my favorite places, which is the Mauna Ulu area. So there were eruptions here from 1969 to 74. This is one of the eruptive fissures that opened up. You can see there's a big spatter rampart behind these two folks hiking by us here. There's me down at the bottom of the eruptive fissure, and you can see where some of the lava drained back down. So as the eruption waned in this area, this is about when it would have ended here, but then picked up at the main Mauna Ulu area. You can see some of the lava just drained back down with some of the textures here. Pretty neat. Here's one of the spatter ramparts. So as the fissure was erupting and throwing chunks of lava out, it piled up on the surface, clot after clot of lava, and forms this agglutinate. And so it's one of the spatter ramparts there. Then the next day, we met with Katie Mulliken, who works for the USGS. So I had met her on a previous trip, and she agreed to come out and talk to our group. So she came out for about an hour, gave us some information about how they monitor the volcanoes, talked about just the volcano's history and the landscape and stuff. Really great speaker, really informative. She was awesome. Some of you might know that the previous volcano observatory was destroyed in 2018 when they had all the collapse of the summit and the earthquakes and stuff. But the USGS is building a new observatory further to the northeast from where that structure was, right by the Kilauea military camp and a little bit back from the rim. So I wanted to see just how far along they were and what the building looked like and stuff. So we drove by that, which was kind of fun. Then we walked around the sulfur vents up near the visitor center. So you can see some of the yellow here. So this is where some of the volcanic gases are still escaping and precipitating out some of these sulfuric minerals here. Then we went down to the green sand beach, which we had missed because of the eruption. So we backtracked back down to South Point, went to the green sand beach, which is kind of a, I don't know, like a rite of passage if you go to the Big Island, especially if you're into geology. This is all olivine sand at the green sand beach. This is some of the layers of the eruptive cone that was constructed out there, kind of tilted. There's some big blocks of rock in here. Fun little beach, some neat geology, just a cool thing, right? There's only, I think, 2 green sand beaches in the world. This one, and I think one in Guam, if I'm correct. And so it's just kind of a neat thing to be able to go there. So there's the crew. You can see the bedded layers there along the wall, green sand beach. And then the next day, we had arranged with a local who had a house in Leilani Estates. So the actual neighborhood where the 2018 eruptions took place. And we arranged for her to take us up to Fissure 8. So if you remember what was going on in Hawaii in 2018, you know that there were fissures that opened up in this neighborhood. It was a bit of chaos for a few weeks, but eventually all that magmatic activity concentrated to one of those fissures, Fissure 8, and eventually grew into a pretty large cone. So this is Fissure 8. This is all 2018 eruptive products here. First, on the way to Fissure 8, we walked by Fissure 14. So here's some of the spatter ramparts and, some of the spatter and the glutinate that accumulated there. What was interesting, again, to see in the 2018 eruption, and we kind of mentioned this on the flight with Johan, is that it's already revegetating a little bit. So there's ferns coming up through here. This is one of the wetter parts of the island, and so it makes sense that, it's being revegetated that quickly. Lots of mineralization. You can see all the colors in the rocks here. And then as you're walking around on it, what you're walking around on mostly as it's fountaining, so a lot of it's lava, but a lot of it is material that was fountaining. As the lava was jetting out of the ground, these pieces of lava that were being thrown out were very frothy. They had mostly gas to them. And it's this kind of brown small, crunchy stuff. There's no scale here, so I apologize, but these pieces are maybe just a few centimeters across. It's incredibly lightweight, and this stuff's called reticulite. So it's a form of basalt where it's kind of more brown in color, kind of a honey colored. And if you look at it up close, this is what it looks like. You can see all the bubble walls and the little thin little layers of brown, essentially glassy material that divide each one of those, and that's what this is made out of. But it's interesting stuff because you could literally pick one up and crush it easily with your hands. It's very fragile. So these probably don't last too long geologically. They'll break down with the weathering products and stuff. So fun fact there. There was lots of the gas mineralization around the vents, the sulfur. This, I think, is gypsum, which is also pretty common, calcium sulfate that forms around some of those vents. You can see a little bit of the sulfur here. Then to wrap up this little slideshow here, we went to the area around Pahoa down at the southeastern part of the island where those lava flows went. So we saw the cone where the lava came out, and then we went down further to see where the lava flows went into the ocean. And this is just one of the huge, immense channels. This was a river of lava from where the people are standing all the way over to here, which is maybe, I don't know, 100, maybe 150 meters across. In places it might be wider. And this was literally a continuously flowing river of lava that occasionally would overspill. You see where the lava is kind of lapped up against the edge here and kind of created a little bit of a berm. Just the scale of this is just really awesome and fantastic. So anyway, so that's kind of a rundown on that trip to Hawaii. So looking at other field trips moving forward, I do have space available for the 2 days in the April trips. These are in April 11th and 12th. One will be in the immediate Twin Falls area. The 12th will be to an area a little bit to the west of here, over near Hagerman, looking at sort of the interaction between water and lava. You can go to the website and see details there, also how you can sign up. I do have a little bit of space for the June 26th hike up Redfish Canyon. Be advised, this does involve, after a boat ride, we're going to hike up a canyon. It's about 3 miles round trip. Just kind of consider that. It's on a trail, though. And so that one's nearly full. The Grand Canyon trip, the river trip's full. And then sometime in the next few months or so, I'll start getting my head around some fall trips. We'll probably roll back the same group of field trips I did last fall in the northern Utah around Salt Lake City, maybe some more in southern Idaho. I'm trying to add more locations as I go, but it does necessitate me going out and doing a bit of recon and research. I'm hoping to add a winter trip too, maybe around like St. George, southwestern Utah, Zion area. So just look for that. And then next year, I haven't decided when I'll do the Hawaii trip next year, but if you're interested, sending an email would be probably the best bet, so you can kind of get on the interested list. Most likely it'll be in the winter, but I'm not sure exactly which month. And then I think the Grand Canyon River trip for 2026, I think that's full too, but we have a waiting list, so you might consider getting on that. So anyway, lots of opportunities to get out in the field with me, both abroad and locally. And the best place to look for that information is on the website. So there you go. Okay, friends. So hopefully you enjoyed those pictures of Hawaii. I didn't mean to make that a long slideshow, but it's just fun to show you different places and share that with you. So let's take a look then at Iceland and what's going on over here in Iceland. We just flew over it. Here's the webcams. You can see the crater road there. This is looking from Thorpjord, looking to the northeast. So Grindavik would be further off to the right. This is a few hours ago. Here's the live view as it gets a little bit darker. And we do have a new Met Office update that came out today. Thanks to Amanda Jo, as always, for keeping me apprised and updated on things going on in Iceland. And I think the short of it is that we're ready. The system is primed. We're starting maybe to see an uptick in earthquake activity. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And I think the people in Iceland are ready for this to go off anytime now. So just quick overview of this update. Updated models show the amount of magma has reached the same volume that we had prior to the last eruption. It's anticipated the eruption may start with very little warning. Most likely scenario is a fissure opening in the area between Sunnukur and Stora Stogafeld. So that's the same area we've seen most of the eruptions take place. Area impacted by an eruption determined by where the fissures are. That's kind of obvious. And so kind of cruising through this, it's assumed that there's increased probability the next event will be within a few days or weeks. So that's kind of what we're looking at, just any time now. If an eruption occurs, it will be the 8th one in this area since December 2023. Stress in the crust has diminished with each dike intrusion and eruption that has occurred. Okay, so we're not building. Well, they explain it right here. This means that fewer and smaller earthquakes may occur in the weeks and days before an eruption now as compared with when the first activity started. So with each subsequent eruption, we've seen mostly fewer earthquakes, depending on exactly where that eruption has taken place. So they talk about the signals that have been seen when magma starts to move are a cluster of small earthquakes on the crater row, changes in the pressure in the boreholes from the Svartsengi power plant. Now, to my knowledge, and someone in Iceland might have better data, I don't think this data is publicly available. If it is, it would be fun to be able to look at the borehole pressure data and look at that. But as to my knowledge, that's proprietary information that the power plant is using. I'm sure they're sharing it with the Met Office as a bit of a predictive tool to when the eruption might begin. But I don't think it's publicly available. If someone knows that I'm wrong about that, maybe let us know. That would be good. And then finally, the other thing they look at is changes in the crust deformation seen by a fiber optic cable, and of course the real-time GPS data. So again, I'm not sure the fiber optic cable deformation data is readily available, but those are some of the predictive data that they're looking at when they're looking to see when this thing might actually erupt. They mentioned a few little earthquakes that occurred. We'll look at that. And then they lay out a few scenarios. And really, these scenarios are not that surprising. Most likely between Sunnukura and Stora Stogafelt. They mentioned the caveat was that January 24 eruption that was south of Hagafelt that was closer to Grindavik. And they mentioned that, it's possible that it could be nothing. Nothing in their data rules out the possibility of an eruption south or north of Hagafelt. So greatest probability is for this zone, but it could be further north or further south. And then they just talk about, depending on the winds, we could have a risk of gas. Lava could reach the road near the power plant area in less than an hour and a half. And if water reaches any sort of water, either in the Blue Lagoon or groundwater, there could be locally explosive activity. So they do have this nice little map here as a bit of a summary. Zoom out a bit. And this just shows with colors and lines and stars the last year or so in terms of the eruptions and where they've occurred. So December 2023 is the blue star. Then January 24 was the one near Grindavik right here, so with this teal colored star. Then they go through February. See if I can get the colors right. March, a little bit further south, back up here in May, and then August, and then November, which I think is somewhere under there. Let's see. Anyway, so a nice little summary there, and I think that's pretty much it for the Met Office update. Some interesting things there. Okay, so looking at the data, let's go ahead and refresh this, see if there's anything new. Last 24 hours, there has been just a few earthquakes, but remember, we're used to seeing almost no earthquakes here. And so it looks like we've got maybe 6 or so earthquakes up to 1.8 in magnitude that have occurred along the fissure series, or very close to it, in the last 24 hours. I don't think that's a tight enough cluster spatially and temporally that I think the eruption is happening anytime soon, but it's worth watching. If we go from 6 earthquakes in one 24-hour period to 15 within the next 24-hour period, and more likely what we're going to see is this thing just ramp up quite quickly. In fact, if we just look at the last 4 hours, there's been none, right? So 8 hours, none. So most of those quakes were 12 hours, we get 2. So it's quite a few hours ago that most of these earthquakes occurred. So the chances of us seeing anything during that drone flight were pretty small. But we expect the mini swarm of earthquakes that will precede this next eruption to be fairly short duration if everything kind of holds to what we think it's going to be. Looking at the last week or so, again, just not a lot of earthquakes, maybe a dozen or so earthquakes in that region and spaced out over a whole week. So has the pressure accumulated in the magma storage system? Absolutely. Is that magma now pushing on rock and causing small breaks in the rock and the earthquake activity we see here? Yes. Is it meaning that the eruption is imminent within, a day or two? I don't think so. I think we're still a little ways from that. But what we're looking for now is just a rapid increase over just a few hours in the earthquakes, and that might be one of the indicators. GPS, similar trend that we've been seeing. Here's the end of the eruption in November, and for the last 3 months or so, we've just been watching this go up, and we've kind of finally reached this threshold. We're at the same threshold that was necessary for the previous eruption, and we've just got to this point just now. So there is some of the data from Iceland. Really no new interferograms I saw, and they've had snow on and off, and so that would obscure that a little bit as well. There was one fun news story that Amanda Jo sent me. So this was from yesterday. Just, they recognized there was a few earthquakes that happened, but there was no magma movement here. But in a fun quirk of the Google Translate from Icelandic to English, there was a fun little thing in here. If you look at this quote from one of the Met Office scientists, the quote reads, as translated by Google, it says, "It's a question of whether he, the skunk, was coughing a little, but nothing more has happened." Well, thanks to Amanda Jo for helping me out with what was lost in translation there. This really should read more like it's a question of whether the magma was moving a little bit, but nothing more has happened. So, but I found it kind of funny and humorous, as did she, that magma movement somehow got translated to the skunk was coughing. So watch out for those coughing skunks in Iceland, I suppose, because they could be an indicator that magma is on the move. So there's your Iceland update. Let's switch over to Kilauea and just talk briefly about what's been going on at Kilauea, and then we'll come to you for your questions. Hope you're doing well. Hope the live chat's going okay as well. So what we've been seeing at Kilauea is I was there for episode 8, which was a fairly short-lived, less than 24-hour eruption episode. A few days after I got back, I think on the 12th of February, there was episode 9, which lasted a similar amount of time. And then yesterday we had episode 10. Episode 10 began yesterday on the 20th, and it lasted only 13 hours, so it was a pretty short-lived eruption. But while it was going, it was producing beautiful fountains. I think I even read somewhere that the fountains initially were near the lower rim of Halemaumau, so like maybe 400 feet, 120, 130 meters or so. Pretty impressive, but you can see now it has died back down. So Kilauea has settled into this nice pattern of fairly routine behavior, I suppose. Like, we get the uplift, inflation occurs, it reaches a threshold, we get the eruption, which lasts anywhere from 13 hours to maybe a week or so. Then as soon as the eruption begins, we see a deflationary trend on the tilt meter data, then it starts building back up. So if anyone has plans to go to Hawaii in the next week or month or so, while this pattern goes on, you almost can a bit predict within a couple day window when an eruption might take place. So you really could almost sort of schedule your trip and your travel plans around possibly seeing an eruption, which is pretty spectacular. So the latest update from USGS, which is yesterday, they haven't got the one out yet for today, it's still early there. Episode 10 of the ongoing eruption ended at 9:18 on February 20th after just 13 hours of fountaining. Lava flows covered about 75% of the crater floor, and then they saw deflationary tilt right away. So a pretty brief update there, but some pretty interesting stuff. What I mainly want to focus on here is just some of the cool images that they've been able to get and some of the video. So I'll share these with you. So this is, let's see, what should we go to? Here's episode 9. Very nice view there, probably close to sunset. So you can see the shadow line there across the crater rim. HVO, old location, used to be up here. And you can see the two vents going off, the north vent and the south vent, and then the lava flow field here filling in crater. Nice view there. And this is the more recent episode 10. So that one was 9. Here's 10, which had its best, I think, visuals mainly at night and early morning. You can see the north vent going off, a little bit of lava there at the south vent. So a couple nice images there. You can check out more of these if you want to. Here's a fun little video of, this is the episode 9 eruption. So this is going to be from the evening of February 11th when it began. So we'll watch maybe a few seconds or so of this. Looking down from the rim, I guess this would be the north vent. There's the south vent. You can see all the lava fountaining and the spatter. And then it's rolling down the hill here and filling in parts of the crater. I think they do change view a little bit here. So if you need some lava therapy for the day, if you just need to see, as you're waiting for these volcanoes in Iceland and other places to erupt, and you just need to see lava doing its thing to bring down your heart rate, there you go. You're welcome. Lava therapy. Good stuff. Okay, so I'll put links to these in the description, but the USGS always does a good job of capturing each eruption as best they can with some video footage, which is nice. Okay, so there's that one, and then I know I've got another one here. This one I think is more interesting to me. I mean, even though eruption is awesome, this is a helicopter overflight for the episode 9. And it actually shows more of the area. So if you haven't been to Hawaii or you haven't looked at maps in Hawaii and you're a little disoriented about what's going on, this one I think does a nice job of showing sort of the whole thing. So here we have the helicopter. There's Mauna Loa over there. There's one of the overlook parking areas in the park on the north side of the. Now we're entering Kilauea caldera. So notice this is the big caldera. Big rim right here. We drop down to this floor, and then we kind of stair step down some more broken sections to get to the eruption site. So this other smaller crater area over here is Halema'uma'u. You can see some of the big cracks here from February, from 2018. So this, I think, is just a nice overflight just because it shows so much of the crater and volcanoes geology, some of the big fractures and faults. Then you can see it drops down again, and this is the lower crater floor that's being filled in and where the eruptions are taking place. So I might let this one go through because it actually shows quite a few things. You can also see some of the cracks over here on the other side. The viewing area that we were able to watch this from is somewhere over in here. You're able to actually look at the eruption from some point along this rim over here. But here's the camera kind of swinging around, looking more or less to the west there. Boulder flows out here. If this was night, you'd probably see that all this would be glowing at this point. And it looks like this might have been when episode 9 was maybe kind of petering out, because we're not seeing, although we're quite a ways away, but it's mostly gas. There might be some fountaining in there. Looks like a little there. And then over here, you can see the old Crater Rim Road. See, it actually comes over here, and then it disappears. But look, there's a little patch of it right here. So it actually collapsed down. Part of this, as the caldera enlarged, pieces of where the roadway once was actually collapsed down, and now in this little block that's slumped down into the crater there. But it was, was not long ago. You could drive this whole thing all the way around. I remember having lunch at some pullout over here in 2007, students. But yeah, this landscape has changed quite a bit in the last 20 years or so. Some of these collapsed blocks here. And this is the southwest or west part of the crater, and that's where the vents have opened up. There you can see the bigger caldera rim back here. That's where the flight kind of started, was back here. That's Kilauea Military Camp. That's where the new volcano observatory is going to be, back there. Looking down at the roadway. Yeah, I like this flight. I think they did a nice job kind of getting a lot in. Where are we at now? There's Kilauea Iki crater back there. There's the viewing area. This is Keanakakoi crater. So the viewing area for the eruption is right about here. That's where we watched it from, and it's about a mile away. Now they're maybe a little bit closer. Down at the flows. Recent flows probably in black. Or actually, the silvery ones, recent ones. same sort of thing here. Skosh. Yeah, cool stuff. So great job, USGS. Some nice video there. Good stuff. Hopefully that's helpful. Last couple things here before we get to your questions is they've also got a nice graphic here showing the summit tilt meter plot, which is the blue line, since December 23rd. And then all these pink vertical bars are different eruptive episodes, episode 2, 3, all the way up through episode 10. And you can see the way the tilt meter has become a pretty good tool in signaling when the eruption begins, especially I think coming out of episode 3, which was a little wonkier. But here's, as soon as episode 3 ends, inflation takes place, right? So we're inflating, the ground is rising. Then we reach some critical pressure elevation threshold, and the eruption begins. Episode 4 begins, and we get deflation. Then that eruption ends. There's no more gas pressure to propel the lava upwards, at least to the surface. So inflation begins again. And then we reach some threshold, and then there's deflation, inflation, deflation. So these inflation, deflation cycles nicely kind of show things. There is sort of an overall downward trend, probably because it's taking, once the conduits are established and opened, it's taking less volume and gas pressure to reach the surface, and that's why you see a bit of a drop in the tilts kind of going over time. But nonetheless, these cycles, so ideally what we would expect to maybe look at then, we come to the monitoring data. Here is, this is probably the better one here. Here's the last week. So here is episode 10 that just began really yesterday, or the 19th. And then there's it ending after 13 hours, and then the new cycle beginning. So what you kind of look for here is, and this trend changes a little bit here, but when will this get back to more or less this point? And that would be your sort of predictive tool. Here's a better view looking at it for the past month, similar to that plot. Okay, so that is all I have for Kilauea. So how are we doing? We can come back now to folks on the live chat and see if there are questions that you have. Oh, good. I got question sheet 1 already sitting here. Let's see. Latest information on the borehole. Oh, good. Mandy Jo sent me some stuff. So let's see what she sent me, because it's all fun. Innovation is using, okay, a new emergency heating system. Oh, so this is maybe about the new borehole area. Yeah, out near the north of the airport. So they have been working on getting the hot water system up there. Now there's an emergency heating system there, which is a pilot project. Awesome. So I knew they had drilled and found the resource, that the hot water was there at a good depth. And now they have, apparently they have this backup system, without me reading this to you. Not possible to heat houses because the capacity is not high enough. It's hoped that less electric heaters will need than last year. So it sounds like things are trending well there. Oh, and then it kind of shows us with this aerial view here. Wait. Yeah, I'll have to look at this later. I don't want to do this necessarily during the live stream, but good information. So there's kind of a view of this plant. I mean, classic Iceland, right? Like, just something needs to be done. We're going to get it done. Awesome. Okay, so a couple questions coming in from folks. Let's see if I can answer these as best I can. Let's just put this up for now. Can you explain, from Barbie Crab, can you explain the term harmonic tremor? So harmonic tremor is when, as best I understand it, is when magma is moving through the subsurface. It could be ascending also. Remember, it's not a liquid. It's molten rock. It's still fairly dense, very viscous. And as it's moving, it's creating vibrational energy. So it is giving off a signal that can be detected with seismometers, and it looks different to a trained seismologist, which I am not. It has a different sort of waveform to it than a classic earthquake where rocks just break and that energy dissipates. And so harmonic tremor, which goes on much longer, has a different kind of frequency signal to it, is used as an indicator that magma is moving. So that's my best explanation for harmonic tremor. Kelly Horton wants to know if there was a blue tint when we were flying over the steaming cones. Yeah, I thought I saw some bluish tint, and I didn't know if that was maybe some of the lighting, but very likely we were seeing real blue because those sulfuric gases, when they escape the lava, will have a bluish tint to it. And I don't understand the physics of why it's blue. Why is the sulfur, when it sublimates, goes from gas to a solid or whatever, that's not sublimation, sorry, when it precipitates, why is it yellow, and yet when it's in gas form, why is it blue? Not sure. Vicky Schultz wants to know, why hasn't Shawn done NatureEye on some other volcanoes erupting around the world like Hawaii? Yeah, good question. It's different in every country is probably the short answer of it. And in Hawaii, which is at national park, there are very strict regulations with drone flying. A couple of reasons. One is, if it was a free-for-all, you'd have a lot of people with their own drones in there. And I think we can all appreciate, when we're out in nature and maybe looking at something like an eruption, having a bunch of drones fly over your head, they're noisy. It does detract a bit from the experience. Even having helicopters fly overhead, both in Hawaii and in Iceland, when you're trying to like have this maybe surreal experience with an eruption, it does take away a little bit. But the main thing would be NatureEye is a pretty new company, and while they're in several locations, I think it's just logistics. There's different red tape in different countries. They need to have a qualified drone operator in that country that can actually go out like Johan does and take the equipment and the Starlink system, get it all set up, be able to talk to people. I think in some countries the connectivity maybe isn't there. Iceland is a very wired in country. You have good signals in many places. We also have the eruption taking place here, which is very accessible. Many other countries, volcanoes that are erupting and might be of interest, are very remote. No signal really to transmit, and so I think it's more of a logistical. I'm sure they're looking at it though. Lily Bishop, what is the depth or height of the recent lava covering the valley? I think Johan mentioned that at some of the cones we looked at where it's built up. It's built up the land as much as 34 meters. Out on the lava flows, it's going to be a lot less than that, maybe anywhere from a few meters to 10 meters at the most. So the land's actually risen as the lava has actually poured out and built up. Gail says, when the drone went over the caldera, what is the height of it? It's hard to put into context how tall, wide they are. Well, those weren't calderas. They were spatter cones mostly. I don't know which one you're referring to, but I guess the biggest one we went over, some of those are maybe, someone else on the live chat might have the better numbers here. I'm guessing 70, 80 meters tall, so 250 feet. So some of them are at height. Maybe that's a little bit on the high end. Maybe like 50 meters. 50 meters, 100, like that. Les Gold, question, if the magma is moving so deep that earthquakes are not generated, how long would it take for the magma move to cause an eruption? Yeah, good question. I think that came about our conversation that Johan, talking about one of the scientists that said the magma might be moving from one area, like, this area here, around where we've been looking at the eruptions, over towards the Bishuvik area over here. I don't know if I agree with that, because your structures run this way, right? So the structures run in a different belt, and I don't know. Like, I don't see evidence currently for magma to be moving from this area to this area. Could be, maybe any deeper depths, maybe that's easier to do. So his question is, how long would it take? Yeah, I mean, it depends on the distance, right? So you're looking at this distance here, which is, let's see, here, about 16 kilometers. If you don't speak metric, that's about 10 miles. But it's not moving. It's not like it's near the surface and moving across. I think it's more of a deeper, coming up from depth and then maybe moving laterally, but still at maybe 10 kilometers depth. How long would it take? I think it would take months, maybe longer, but I don't really have a solid answer. Charles W53, has the maximum uplift location moved, migrated, or is it still near the power plant? I think it's still kind of in this area. Amanda Jo keyed me in on a group she was kind of chatting with and looking at some of the interferograms, and depending on which interferogram you look at, sometimes the center of the uplift from that INSAR data looks like it's a little further to the west. Other times it looks like it's a little south. Sometimes it looks like it's right under the power plant. It seems to wobble a little bit. I think that's more reflective of just the shape of the magma storage zone and not a real indicator that. So has the maximum uplift moved? It probably has moved a little bit, maybe within a few kilometers, but I don't think the magma storage zone has necessarily moved. That makes sense. So I don't expect that to mean that we're getting an eruption in some completely different area, at least for now. Okay, so I think I got through all the first questions there. First page. I don't know if you have a second page, send me a. Those were good questions. Thanks for sending those to folks. While she's looking there, maybe I'll just back. Joanne Kellum, who knits great hats, wants to know, could you feel the heat from the eruption in Hawaii from your viewing area? Not quite. I think had the wind's been a little bit more favorable, we might have, but I think we were just a little bit too far away. And if you think about it, two point vents next to each other side by side, most of the heat's going up. You would need a larger vent or a larger, very active lava field, basically a area of more concentrated heat, maybe to feel it over that distance. So no, we didn't. There were times when I thought I felt like a little bit hotter air coming towards us, but I couldn't tell if that was really true from the volcano or just maybe the heat coming off the caldera and circulating around. So I wasn't convinced that was the case, but that's a really good question. Foxfur, are they planning to reroute and replace that missing section of the road, maybe further back from the edge? Don't know. I think for now the park isn't planning on reestablishing the roadway. I think the idea is that at least from the park's perspective, I haven't talked to anyone. This is just my sense, so take it for what. But, and I probably actually can show you the old roadway here. So actually this will be fun. Watch this. I hope this is fun. Should temper your expectations. Well, let's leave the road. So here's what we just flew over. Well, with the helicopter flight we saw from the USGS. But we can look and see what it looked like 2008. Here is, this is great. So here's 2004. And notice in 2004, here's the road. Here's the parking area. I ate lunch right here with my students in 2007. We went out and hiked out and looked at this big pit in 2007, which was completely inactive. Nothing was happening there. And then we walked back to our van and sat on the curb and ate lunch. And then we continued, and we used to do a stop along the road over here where the southwest rift zone begins. You can see some of these cracks here. So there was some cool, sexy geology to show students here. And then we would drive along the canyon, the crater rim drive road, and there's the Hawaii Volcano Observatory run by the USGS, and we would stop there and they would give us a tour, look at things, and then you could continue on your way and end up going all the way around thing. So that's what it looked like pre-2018. I can dazzle you here. So there's the USGS and the road, which I can't see here, but there's the road going all the way around. And then let's now jump to Here's 2020. So did you see it all there? 2004. So watch how much bigger this becomes. 2004. There's the expansion. There's the road gone, right? There's a section of the road there. And the pit is deeper. So this landscape was just demonstrably transformed. This pit became twice as deep. There was even a period, oh, this even shows it. It had a little bit of water at the bottom. It's since filled in with lava. So here, once eruptions started occurring again in the crater, it's kind of filled in, and it's not as deep as it once was. But yeah, that's what keeps me coming back, among other things. Hawaii is just a fantastic place to look at geologic processes, blah, blah, blah. But what always has captivated me is just every time I go to Kilauea summit, I get something different. And this time was no exception. I saw an eruption at Kilauea summit, which I hadn't seen before. I'd seen eruptions down on the East Rift Zone, down by the coast, but I hadn't seen an eruption occur at the summit. So just cool stuff. So yeah, you can play with Google Earth and check that out. Okay, here's question sheet 2. What is the... Oh, so here's... Oh, there is the cable live stream, the fiber optic cable. I'll put the link up for that. Thank you, Amanda Joe. I think I did know that was out there, but I forgot. But I didn't think I have the link. From Freak Glitcher, what is the eventual fate of a subducted plate? Do they fully melt, and can they snap off before that happens? No, they don't fully melt, and that was a big mistake I made taking geology in college. I remember a test we had. I think it was graduate school. No, it wasn't quite graduate school, but it was like my junior, senior year, and I talked about how the subducted plate melts as it goes down. But that was fully wrong. The subducted plate actually stays intact. What actually is creating the magma is the water driven off of that plate. It's getting hotter, and water that is reacting with the asthenosphere sitting above the subducted plate, that's what actually lowers the melting temperature and generates the magma. So to answer your question, what is the eventual fate of a subducted plate? We've actually had a lot of cool new tools like seismic tomography and other cool geophysical methods that allow us to image these plates after they've left the surface and been subducted, so they don't fully melt. It takes tens, if not hundreds of millions of years. We can still see them down there. I guess I think they eventually melt is the right word. They sort of assimilate, but they because they're different compositions and they get subducted as these fairly cold, rigid slabs, they persist down in the mantle for quite some time. But they can snap off. You can get a subducting plate actually detach from the rest of the plate. 3D modeler from Rotterdam. Have you ever thought of combining climbing geology trips for interested people? That's a fun idea. Like people, wow, that would combine two of my great favorite passions together. Like we go climbing and looking at rocks at the same time. Holy smokes, that just blew my mind. Yeah, I mean, I've never thought about like taking people to go do that, and I don't know how that would look. I mean, as you probably know, taking 10 people climbing, there's some logistical challenges there, which is just yeah, I hadn't thought of it, but if you have an idea, like I'm open to it. Definitely, climbing allows you to access aspects of geology that you sometimes can't see, like in Yosemite. You up things that you wouldn't necessarily see from the ground. So climbing on granite is pretty neat because you're seeing a more cross-sectional view of the magma body that's cooled and crystallized. Even climbing on layered basalt flows like we have here in southern Idaho allows you to see the interface between those lava flows and some interesting features. So yeah, it's a fun idea. I'm not against it. So have I thought about it much? No. Anthony Hoskin, does the area of uplift increase with each eruption? Oh boy, which one are we talking about? So I don't have context here on that one. Would that be Hawaii? Yeah, so I don't know what the context is, if we're talking Hawaii or Kilauea, something else. 3D modeler from Rotterdam, second question, is the orifice of the North Crater lower or higher? So the one that dies first is the higher one. I think that's a Hawaii question with the two dueling craters I kind of showed you the pictures of here. The North Crater, I did get the sense the North Crater is higher. They're both kind of like pinned against the wall of the crater. The North Crater, I don't know for sure, but the North Crater I think is maybe slightly higher. Other one. Yeah, but I'm not sure completely. Boxford, are they planning? Oh, that's a question about the road. I got that. I got Joanne's question. And then William Wood, historically, where was the last caldera collapse style eruption? Well, the Hawaii thing in 2018 probably wasn't big enough to be, I don't know what semantics of it. I don't know if it's big enough to be called a true caldera collapse. 1991 Pinatubo in the Philippines came really close. That was a VEI 5 or 6 eruption. I want to say maybe a 6. Big eruption, and it came close from what I've read to the summit collapsing in on itself, but I don't think it quite got there. So I don't know off the top of my head. We'd have to look it up. So I think we'd have to go, you know, before modern. I don't think there's been a modern, 20th, 21st century caldera collapse eruption, caldera producing eruption that I can remember. So we'd have to go back, hundreds or maybe even 1,000 years ago. Yeah, good question for the volcano history buffs that might be out there. Okay, let's see. Anything else I'm seeing on the live chat? Brita Freer, Shawn, where do you get the Iceland KMZ files for Google Earth? Well, so our good friend, and I think I emailed him and I haven't heard back from him. So David Gunzler, if you're still out there, I still need you. Please email me. Because what happened with my Google Earth was I had all of your wonderful lava flow maps. I had a bunch of these. Let me show you this one. So he put together all the shape files, like traced out the lava fields, and I had all of these for every eruption. There's December's. Here is January's south, and I color-coded them. Here's February's in red. But I had like some issues with my computer, and I had to... Well, I was having trouble with Google Earth and my computer, and anyway, for whether it was the right thing to do or not, I ended up inadvertently deleting, I didn't know I was doing this, deleting some of those KMZ files he sent me. So I used to have these for the March eruption, the May eruption, and I think maybe the August eruption, but I don't have those now. So David Gunzler or anyone else, if you have those files and can send them to me, that would be great. For those that want them, I'm happy to share them, and David was happy to share them as well. So I was pointing people, I think, to him for those that wanted them. But as long as I have permission from whoever creates them for me, then I'm happy sharing those as well. So I wish I had all the eruptions, but I just have the first 3 because the other ones just went away. I think I even still have, I don't even have all the berms on here. So I need to these were ones I drew. So I need to get another map and then redraw the berms because I'm missing, there's more than this. There's some down here. There's more they put down on this side of Grindavik, and I'm missing some of those. So I need to get those. So yeah, and it looks like Amanda Joe answered your question too. We have some of those on the good stuff. Which side of the Big Island did you stay at? Peter Booth with the quick question. Oh, we stayed. So when we went to Hawaii, and I'll plan another trip at some point. To be fully honest, with some of these trips abroad where we're renting houses and such, it does work out better for me logistically when I'm planning these things to have at least a few couples or people that have a relationship and close together that can share a bed, because a lot of the rental houses are going to have a bedroom with a queen bed or a king bed, and it's hard to take 8 solo travelers and put them in a rental house. And I do like the rental house model as opposed to like a hotel room, because it gives us a kitchen, it gives us like a common area. I feel like it's a lot more comfortable for a small group. But we stayed, to answer your question, we stayed, we flew into Kona, and we rented a house somewhere in here, so somewhere on the slopes of somewhere up here near the Belt Road. Yeah, somewhere in this little zone in here, we rented a house. We stayed there for 3 nights, I think, and then we moved over to the volcano area. And just outside the park, there's a little village and section of homes, a little village called Volcano. And I think the house we rented was here in Mauna Loa Estates. And in the village here, there's a little general store, some restaurants, and so that's where we stayed. Yeah, so we stayed on both sides, and they got to see, I think, pretty much everything. We drove through Saddle Road. The only, I guess, section of the island they didn't see, and it's a beautiful drive, is from Hilo up to Honoka'a, the Waipio Valley. We visited this area here. We went to Waimea for dinner, so probably Waimea to Hilo. That's the only section of the island folks didn't see. So, good stuff. I think we're winding down here, friends. We're 2 hours in. Hopefully, folks have enjoyed this live stream. We've got fun things coming up. My schedule, real quick, just kind of to wind down, is back in classes now. So I'm here through, we're going to go down to Southern Utah for spring break. But other than that, I'm here for the rest of the semester. And then in May, things get a little crazy for me. I'm taking students down to a GSA conference in Provo, and we'll do some field trips around there. Come home for a couple of days, and then I'll fly to Iceland. So I'll be in Iceland with folks at the end of May into early June. And then I'm going to fly straight from that trip at the beginning of June. And I'm going to fly over to a new place I've never been, which is the Alps. So, and my wife's going to meet me over there. And so we are going to be flying into Zurich and take out the road. So many roads. Zurich, and then we're going to go up through Liechtenstein. So if anyone's from this area and has tips, please feel free to send them. I've got kind of a rough, I'll show you my rough outline of where we're going, the route. I kind of have like penciled in, because we are close to making lodging accommodations. Right now we just have flights. So we're flying into Zurich. We're going to work our way a day or two. We're going to visit some of these mountains here, like Xanthis, go to Liechtenstein, just because it's a small country. Check it out real quick. Come up through this valley here, and then work our way over to Andermatt. Somewhere in here, there's a road that gets us over to this area. We'll go up to Grindelwald for a couple days and Lauterbrunnen. Then we go to there's a tunnel we go through that gets us over to this valley. And that allows us, here, to get up to Zermatt around the Matterhorn, go back out, and then come through another tunnel or another pass that gets us into this part of Italy, the Aosta Valley. Then there's a tunnel near Mont Blanc that gets us over here near Chamonix. And then we'll go back through, Bern, Switzerland, and then back to Zurich. And it's a 2-week trip. So it's sort of this Eastern Alps trip that kind of goes this kind of loop thing I came up with. So yeah, so that'll be most of June. I'll be doing videos there, lots of road cuts. I don't know much about the geology of the Alps. I have a book, try to give you what I can, but it might be a lot of like us kind of figuring out and exploring together. So looking forward to that, that part of Europe. And then hopefully in a future year, we're going to do more of like the Eastern Alps and the Dolomites, maybe work our way through Slovenia down to Croatia. I don't know. We're just making this up as we go, but pretty excited about that. If any of you live in that area and have some information, that would be great. Had many people help us out in the past with some of these European trips. So Fun stuff. And then July is pretty open. We have the field trip at the end of June here in central Idaho. That'll be also one I'm working with Nick Zentner on. So if you can't do the field trip on the 26th up Redfish Canyon here in Idaho, then you could meet Nick and I up near Stanley, Idaho, along with other viewers on the 28th. That morning, we're going to do like a little kind of lecture meet and greet at the park. And then that evening, this is a Saturday, he and I are going to do some videos in geology through here, drive over to Chalice, and we'll do some sort of dinner, bring your own dinner, brown bag, meet and greet thing at the park here in Chalice. So those will get announced as they get a little bit closer. Those are just things that folks can show up and meet with other viewers and talk geology or whatever. Meet Nick and I if they want to. Yeah, so that in June. July, I think we do a little bit of river rafting, but we're kind of around. And then I haven't thought much beyond that. Obviously, August I'll be back college here by mid-August or so. How'd we do? I think we did it all. Fun stuff. Thanks for moderating, Mandy, Joe, and Susan. Appreciate your time. You guys are awesome. Thanks, as always, to Johan and NatureEye. Please support their business if you can. We want Johan to stay busy. We want NatureEye to continue to use their flights to educate kids. So go to those websites, use that promo code if you can, if you're interested. And we'll do one of these maybe in a few weeks. I've got several videos from Hawaii I will push out in the next few weeks. I'll keep doing updates. I know people are interested in the whole Santorini thing. I haven't had a chance to look at Campi Flegrei in Italy. I'm teaching now. I've looked a little bit at the stuff at Mount Spur in Alaska. I realize as you watch my videos, just remember that the YouTube world, which I love doing, is sort of my second job, right? My main job is here at the college teaching classes. Unlike some YouTube geology folks out there, it's not my full-time gig. So I try to give this as much attention and time as I can. And you guys are all great. So just take that with a grain of salt. I'll chime in on events happening in the world when I have something to share or when I have time to give it some analysis and a look-see. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and call it a successful live stream. Appreciate all of you, dear viewers, for your time, for your energy, your support of the channel. It's so appreciated. Hope you enjoyed this with our flight over the area. We'll keep watching Iceland. We'll watch Kilauea, of course. We might check out some other volcanoes if I have the bandwidth for it. And we'll just kind of take it from there. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a great day. And we'll see you soon. Take care.